Okay, guys, I am very excited to welcome our next guest to Let's Get Freaky. God, I can't talk tonight. Freaky. We are joined by Brooks and Matt. How are you, gentlemen?
Good,
Doing good.
good.
How are you?
If I could talk, it'd be great. I'm messing my words up tonight. I've not been drinking, I swear. Uh, the weather's bad both our ends. I know you guys have got snow coming, or is it already snowed your end, or
Not yet.
No.
I think it's my weather thing is saying about an hour or two. It's gonna start, and then that's 50-50 with the mountains.
oh, okay. You guys, you're in the Smokies, right?
Yes.
Hmm?
A cool part of the world, man. I really want to get out there.
It's a
Oh
gorgeous
yeah.
place to be for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Paranormal aside, you could spend months here just looking at all the things.
Oh man, yeah. It is beautiful. I've only seen pictures and videos like yourselves, but I'd love to get over there sometime. And an area of high strangeness. There seems to be a lot going on there.
Oh
There's
yeah.
we find more. What Matt, you've been here for a few years, and I've been here for about 2-3 years, and it's that we're still finding stuff that we haven't heard of before.
Really
Yep.
interesting, man. So you guys are your paranormal investigators. The
Yes.
Smokies Unforgotten Spirits. And
Correct.
that's a cool
Yes.
name, man. That's a cool name. Who who
Thank you.
came
Yeah,
who
no.
came up with a name?
Well, me and Matt, when we first wanted to start this group, we were just like, we wanted to join a group at first, and when there was a lot of the groups in the area that were like, oh, $400 a year, and you can join our group, and that was just like one of those things where it didn't buy any events, it didn't buy any equipment. It was just that was a membership, and then you had to pay more to go on their stuff. And we looked at each other, we're like, hey, let's just start our own, and we can buy the equipment for the same amount of money. And I had some friends out and I said, hey, I'm doing this. I need a name. And she came up with a whole bunch of names, and that one kind of just stuck to us.
Yeah.
Plus,
It's a,
the abbreviation TSUS makes us giggle a lot.
It does all the time.
it's a cool name for sure. I didn't realize paranormal groups were charging to join. That's crazy, man.
Oh yeah.
I think I was
Yeah.
looking at the wrong ones. The ones that we've met that they don't charge, it's just kind of like if they accept you, they do, and they don't, they don't. But there
Yeah.
was a lot of groups that were just, hey, money.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think you made the right choice starting your own one up, and you're having some good results. Can I ask you both sort of where have you always been interested in the paranormal? Did it start from a young age, or is it a new thing?
For me personally, I've dealt with it ever since I was a little kid, and it just kind of blossomed into what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
And I
Brooks
was
has got
always,
some stories as kids as well.
oh yeah,
Interesting.
I started when I was young. I've always loved Halloween. I worked in haunted buildings my whole life. Um, my dad was a head of maintenance at a church, and we ran four churches and an old Catholic high school with six cemeteries. So there was always something that I was always noticing. Um, so it's just kind of something that sparked it, and I've had some stories at home too. So,
Oh wow. Well, I'd love to get all your paranormal experiences if you don't mind sharing, guys.
oh yeah,
It normally starts as a kid. My experiences started when I was a kid. I think there's something when you experience something when you're a kid, I think you go two ways. You either sort of forget about it as you get older and sort of put it to the back of your mind, put it down to just being kid stuff, or you embrace it. You know what you saw, and it sort of carries on into your adulthood.
It's very, very true. I remember seeing him even as a 3, 4 year old, and they just kind of you can just keep on seeing them as you get older.
Yeah, yeah.
Depends on if you shut it down as a fantasy when you're a kid or not.
So can we get into what you was experiencing when you was a kid?
Brooks, you want to go first?
yeah, I could start, I guess. Like I said, well, I'll start off with the church because that's kind of where mine started. I would always help my dad. Um, Maintenance wise, we rebuilt a whole school that used to be a Catholic high school, and we've done a whole bunch of things in the cemetery. the one day I was redoing the carpet in the whole school because we kind of redid it into a kids' clothes closet and a food pantry and Sunday school. So we were just, sprucing up the place a bit. And I actually have the video on my TikTok. There was something walking up and down the stairs constantly, and it was a Tuesday afternoon when the ladies in the office weren't there. There was no youth pastors there or the pastor itself. My dad had to go and dig a grave. So I was just like, hey, I yelled the few names that would be in the school. I said, is that you? Nothing. And then footsteps stopped. And then they started up again. I grabbed my phone and you can kind of hear it walk up the stairs, but in like a weird, like, I think it was like 4 steps and it stopped and then 2 more. And there's 12, I want to say 12 or 13 steps between each floor. So it was kind of a weird number to stop on. So that one kind of sparked it. There was always stories of a boiler man in the boiler room, always protecting his boiler. If we were anytime working on it, he would show himself to my father. I've never personally seen him. We did an investigation twice this year. I did one just recently, and a few months back, we went back and I tried to get something, and we were still trying to cross-reference to see if there was any common ground there.
Wow. So your dad actually saw the boiler man?
Yes. So there was a night where the boiler went out. It was a December, so in Pennsylvania that's pretty cold. And the boiler went out. We had Sunday school the next morning. We had to do an event there. So he spent up late. He heard somebody walking down the stairs, and this place looks like Freddy Krueger's basement. I have some pictures on the Facebook, I think, about it.
Yeah.
Or what it looked like. And
so that's
old
freaky
Ricky,
anyway, man.
oh yeah, it looks something just like that. Red glow is all you need, and
Yeah.
it's Freddy Krueger's basement.
That's it.
But he heard somebody walking down and thought it was the boiler repairman, and he looked up and he was just like, "Hey, this is what's going on." Da 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 da. And he was like, the guy just stood there, and he kind of turned around, heard some steps up. He looked, and he's like, "Oh, he probably ran back out to the truck." 45 minutes later, a different guy came down, and he goes, "Was that your partner or what?" And he goes, I'm alone."
Wow.
But there's old yearbooks on the 4th floor from a library, and they opened up the yearbooks, and there was a guy that he saw in overalls and everything like that in the yearbook.
Wow. Wow, man. So he saw him, a full-bodied apparition of this
Yes,
man.
if I'm not mistaken, I know he's seen it at least 2. I think he's seen him more. He used to leave cigarettes for him on a chair that no one can get to because that's where everyone would see him.
Wow, man. Did you find out how he passed in the school, or did he pass in the school?
From our knowledge, no one has passed in that school. We think because there's multiple entities and spirits in that school, we think they have a special attachment to that place, so that's why they're there.
Wow, man. That's cool. So your dad would see him on a number of occasions, full-bodied.
Oh yeah. My dad was there all hours of the day. He's been there for about 20 years now, and there was a lot of times where he has to go down there, or he'll hear. We have a nun, a little girl, him, and there's a few others that we don't know exactly who are.
Yeah. Wow, man. A nun and a little girl. I mean, they're 2 of the scariest things right there. I'm not going to this school, man.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. No, we took my dog there this past what was it, just December, and something grabbed him and he took off running.
Wow.
We did a full investigation and we're like, okay, let's take a break. My mom had an event being there, so she was there setting up. I was like, I'm gonna give her a hand. And my dog don't really wander off that much, and you can call him right back and he runs up. And he wanders off, and I went, "Hey, Finn, come here." Nothing. Finn, and this school is big, and I'm like, "Oh, he wandered off. He couldn't hear me." So I went back there, and I saw him on the landing where we actually had a picture of what we think is an entity and the nun staring through the window from the first time we went. It looked like he was playing with somebody. I said, "Finn, come here," and he yelled like a yelp, and he took off running 4 flights of stairs up, hit every door on the way, and was on
Wow.
the third or 4th floor, like shaking. So I had to convince him down.
Yeah, man. And that was
And he
obviously
would
out of
okay.
character.
Oh yeah, very out of character. My dog is. We've taken my dog on multiple investigations. We've took Matt's parrots. We call them the paranormal parrots. Out on investigations just to see how they act, and my dog has never. My dog's been touched and never acted like that.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. So did you see stuff as a kid growing up?
Um, I've never seen anything in the school. It was always noises, bangs, or like distant voices. But I always put it off to the side until I actually was listening to y'all's interview with Jason, and he said that there was always like a tumbleweed chasing him, like a black tumbleweed-ish thing.
Yeah.
In my house, I actually had it wasn't black, mine was white, and it would always sprint at me. It almost kind of I always thought in my head it looked like a very small gorilla or like a tumbleweed,
Yeah.
and it would like bolt at me every night. Every night, anytime I go to the bathroom, because I wake up and the bathroom was right to my right, my parents' room was straight ahead, my sister's room was down the hall. It was just a long hallway that was about 30 feet. And I would look left every single time and it would sprint at me. And I always just thought it was my eyes, and I would just go away, go use the restroom, come back in. Um, until the one day I actually screamed because it got to me. And my parents woke up and they were like, what was going on?" And I said, "Oh, it was just the dog." And they're like, "Wiggles in the crate." And I went, "Okay, good night."
Wow, man.
And
Didn't want to talk about that.
no. And
Wow.
there was another occasion where it was right after I think I screamed. There was I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning and the room was like a tinted of red, and there was a full on like black shadow in the corner of my room. That was the first time. I was able to wipe my eyes, went away. Never thought anything of it. I was just really, really tired. It scared the crap out of me, obviously. I was only like 7, 8 years old. And then 2 years later, I would say it was roughly the time, same thing happened. The gorilla scared me, and I woke up like 4 a.m. again, and there was a full black shadow of a figure of who looked like to be my grandmother with piercing red eyes. And no matter when I wipe my eyes, try to wake myself up, go back to bed, it wouldn't go away until I got out of bed and kind of confronted it, and then it vanished.
Wow, man. You confronted it. What did you do? You walked towards it?
Yeah, I was just trying to see if it was like I have a lot of like jackets and everything like that hanging up in my room, and I was like, it's my jackets, whatnot. But once I got up there and I kind of walked up to it, it just
Wow.
went away.
Wow, man. I mean, I have tried myself. I have tried to punch a shadow figure before during the night. So
Didn't go
I've
well
been,
before you did it.
it didn't go well. I was very scared. Um, and all it did was make a weird noise because it woke my brother up, and he was like, "What's the matter, brother?" And I was like, I thought it was my brother. I didn't realize it was I don't know what it was, but I took a swing at it anyway, and it disappeared. But yeah, man, I was terrified. But man, that's some freaky stuff. I've heard of people waking up to a red room before. I've heard that a couple of times, and it's the times that I've heard it, it's been connected to like alien abduction. So was there any like missing time and things like that when that happened?
I've I don't want to say 100% that there was. I mean, I was only young. There was one time where I swore I stayed up all night. One of those things after I was being really scared of aliens because there was somebody who tried to scare the crap out of me the one day. But I wouldn't really say that was missing time because I swore I stood up the whole night. It was midnight, and then all of a sudden the sun was coming up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't blame you staying up all night, man, when you've got things like that going on. Man, wow. So this gorilla-like creature is is that like a shadow sort of figure, or is that a solid entity?
It almost looked like a white dust tumbleweed, or I think you said you had somebody else on the show that it looked like it said you if you like poured ink in water and it kind of meshed, it kind of looked like that.
Yes,
But the
yeah.
reason I say gorilla was it almost looked like when they run on all fours, they have their hands. It kind of looked like that.
Wow.
So that's why my 6-year-old mind was always like, gorilla, gorilla.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sure. You put it to what you know, and that's
Yeah,
wow, man. So it was the
but
sort of shape of, and the movement was like a gorilla.
that's kind of what I always put it as. But more, I was like, it was kind of almost like rolling towards me.
Yeah.
But I know every story I've ever heard about it's always black. It was black, 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 black. I've never heard anyone say it was white.
No.
Mine was the color of the wall white.
Wow. And did this have a face? Did it have like
No.
features?
To be honest, I never looked at it fast enough to actually get
Yeah.
details. I was always like, nope, into the bathroom. Sometimes I would see it in my peripherals and just shoot.
Yeah. I don't blame you, man. Well, this happened every night as well, you say?
It was a nightly occurrence. There was a few other things with my sisters going on. My grandfather passed away just recently through that. I don't think it was him, but it was just one of those
Yeah.
things where I think everyone was kind of having their own things going on.
Yeah. Wow, man. So this white entity, did you ever see that in your room? Did you say?
No, the only thing I've ever seen in my room were the two black figures. The one I have no correlation to it. I don't think it was a hat man. It didn't look like it had a hat. It was just kind of like if I was or Matt was standing in my corner of my room right now, it just all shaded black. That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
the second one, it was my grandmother. I can almost see features in the features were darker than the dark. So it was like that's my grandmother. So I think
Yeah.
that's why I confronted it when I was little. But it like the room was tinted red, which I've never heard of the room tinted red. Also, I've always heard blue for like sleep paralysis and everything like that. I never heard red,
Yeah.
but it was
Interesting.
a tinted red.
And you say your grandmother had the red eyes?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
bright red eyes.
See that's terrifying, man.
It it was.
Because do you think that was your gran, or do you think that was something evil, like impersonating your gran?
My grandmother is still alive to this day, so
Oh, wow. Okay. That's very strange then, man. So this was something impersonating your grandmother.
yes.
Oh, wow. That's freaky, man. Wow. I don't blame you for staying up some nights. Gee, did you tell your parents at the time that this was happening? Because I know it's
I've
difficult.
I've never told my parents about the two figures. Obviously, I've told them about the gorilla. They always told me I was just tired and I had salt in my eyes or the eye bacon.
Yeah.
My sister had an imaginary friend that was also kind of making a ruckus around the house that we found out a little later wasn't an actually an imaginary friend, was more we think a guardian angel.
Okay. Wow, man. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that looked like and was to your sister?
I can't fully go into it just because I was young. My parents kind of dealt with the brunt of that one, but I just know her imaginary friend was named my mother. That was it. It was my mother. And it was she kind of got her after my grandfather passed away in 2006, and there was a little family debacle because it was my sister's birthday is coming up, and they always shared a birthday since they were so close, and she told my mother said that Papa is going to be at my birthday. And she was 4 years old. And that kind of started up like, what do you mean you told her? Like, no, that's our imaginary friend. The imaginary friend is my mother.
Yeah.
And she had the prettiest red dress, ballroom dress in the world. And she looked out. She's always saying that Papa's always asking about her and hoping she's doing good and everything like that. The one day though, she was crying. They all ran out to the living room. They're asking why she's crying. She said, "My mother's leaving," and they were like, "Oh, okay, well, bye, my mother." And then the deadbolt locked. She
Wow.
said my sister said she saw her walk out the door, and then the deadbolt locked behind her. The door never opened, but the deadbolt locked.
Wow, man.
But I wasn't there for that. I can't say yes or no. That was just kind of what I've always heard my parents talk about.
Yeah. And was that the end of the activity with that entity?
That was it.
Wow. So it's safe to say you grew up in a haunted house. I
I
think.
want to say so. It wasn't a very old house, so it makes me
Yeah.
think. I don't think I've ever lived in a house older than 20, 30 years, but I mean, it doesn't take much. And me and Matt kind of, on our investigations, kind of come to realize it doesn't take much for something to be haunted, just a
Yeah.
special connection to the place.
Yeah, for sure. It's like me, man. My house that I grew up in that was haunted. Um, it wasn't old. It wasn't an old house. I know a man died in that house, and it was near to a graveyard. But the house itself wasn't that old. But you don't know what was there before. You know, yes, it could be anything. But
Oh yeah.
very interesting, man. So did you get when you saw the gorilla creature? Did you get a bad vibe from that? Was that a nasty feeling or?
I never got like a feeling of endangerment. If you ever like, I know there's a meme going around Facebook and TikTok, all that, of like when you're playing tag and they get so close and I don't want to play that game anymore. That's kind of the feeling. Like I'm just like, no, stop, stop.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um, don't chase me anymore. I don't like that. I think that's kind of why I screamed. Um,
yeah,
it was just one of those.
yeah, man. Well, I
I
mean,
never felt fully in danger, like my life was in harm, but it obviously scared me.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I don't blame you. I mean, that would scare me now if a gorilla type is running at me now.
But
I'm gone.
like I
I'm
said, it was
gone.
only, I would say, a foot and a half off the ground, so not very tall.
Yeah,
But like I
interesting,
said, the
man.
only reason I put it to a grill is because of the arms.
Yeah,
It looked like arms were kind of running almost like a Donkey Kong run.
yeah, yeah. Interesting, interesting. When you saw your grandmother standing there with the red eyes, I mean that's terrifying, and it's something impersonating your grandmother. Did you tell your grandmother about that? Did you tell her that
No,
you saw? She
I've
doesn't know.
never told anyone except for my friends and family in Tennessee, actually. I always just planted it off as I was a kid who's seen something. And then the more I got into these podcasts with yours and Tony's and Jason's and everything, I'm hearing these stories a little bit. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just trying to stretch here. Maybe I'm not seeing what I obviously think I am. But it's kind of one of those things where I'm willing to talk about it and see what other people think.
yeah, yeah.
Because
That's cool, man. It's cool.
yeah,
It's so cool people sharing their experiences. I mean, I'm the same as you. Like, I grew up with this stuff, and it's not always easy talking about it. Like you tell certain friends at parties, and they think you're crazy. But with stuff like this, I mean, it's people listening that are interested and have probably had experiences themselves. So it's cool to share these
yeah.
experiences because the more we share, the more everyone else will share that are not sure about it or
Yeah, I know. Like me and Matt, when we go out now, we try to debunk everything that happens. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and we will be the first ones to be like, "Nope, that's nothing. We need to go find out what that is." I can't go back 20 years and be like, "Hey, what? Hold on, I'm gonna sit down in this hallway. I'm gonna figure out what this gorilla is."
yeah. Yeah, have you ever seen it since you was a kid? Or have you seen anything like that since?
No. Once I moved out, when I turned 18, I went into instantly travel construction. From that moment when I moved out of the house, I've never seen anything here. I've never seen anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah,
I've had experiences in other places, but never anything like that.
awesome, man. Well, I want to get into more of your experiences. Matt,
Doesn't
can you tell us what happened to you when you was a kid?
Started about 6 months old. My
Oh
uncle owned
wow.
a really large house that was once an apartment building, 3-story apartment building, and most of my family at one point lived there. This is back in Kansas City, and they were having a séance on the third floor. My mom really didn't get into it, but I was 6 months old. You know, the orange shag carpeting that's all over from the 70s. And they watched the door open up. They watched the footprints walk right up to me and my mom. I screamed. My mom screamed. Yeah, that's when it started. We
Wow.
lived for a few months, and then we moved into a place in a little bitty town with 160 people in it called Napoleon, Missouri. And our house was a little brick house across from the railroad tracks and across from the river. Come to find out later on, it used to be a bar, and before that was a gas station. It's just what it was back in the country. And even as a kid, I could just watch this lady walking across my living room. You could hear her walking across the floor. I could describe her from head to toe. Then I saw another gentleman walk by. I look at my mom. I said, "Mom, who's this?" She goes, "I don't know." My dad didn't know. Well, we were renting this little house, and my dad said, "Yeah, Matt's seeing somebody in there. I don't know." And the landlord just turned pale white. And he says, "I know exactly who they are." The gentleman was a guy that got killed when it was a bar. He got in a bar fight. And the lady, she was shot and killed, and she worked at the gas station. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we could see him standing in the corner of the room. My brother and my sister, they could see him for a while too. But yeah, we'd hear him just walking around. We'd have dishes moving, doors opening. It was just
Yeah.
nothing big to us.
Wow. When you see them, was they full-bodied apparitions?
They were full bodied, yes. I mean, you could see through them, but yeah, they were full bodied.
Wow. Could you see color in them?
Oh yeah, yeah. I could tell you her hair was blonde. She was wearing a white shirt, was kind of buttoned down, about down to here. She was wearing almost like a bell bottom jean. It just flared at the bottom. I could see her shoes; they were brown.
Wow,
So
man,
yeah,
that's
we could see them
cool.
all.
Yeah. And you saw them regularly.
Oh yeah, they were all the time.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we used to, when my mom was saying it was time for bed. My sister and I shared a room, only 2 years apart, and I was like, "Don't forget Tommy." Oh, here comes this guy walking in. I could see him. My sister could see him. My mom couldn't, but then she'd watch the closet door open and then shut.
Wow. So they were sort of like
Yeah,
a part of the
they were
family in your eyes.
almost.
Like,
Yep, yep.
wow, man.
My dad thought I had an imaginary friend named Tommy. And no, I
Great
can
name.
see him. I don't know. I don't know. It was my grandfather's name too, so that's why he thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
He's like,
Wow, wow.
"No, you do. Yeah, I see him walking right into the bedroom."
Wow, man. So you could see these, you could see them all the time, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
That's cool. And your sister saw them as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is always, do you still talk to your sister about that now?
No, no. She stopped even thinking about it ages and ages ago. But
Interesting.
my mom could see them forever. I could, and then my sister said, "No, I don't want to know that anymore. I don't want to see it."
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think some people just choose that they don't want to be a part of that, and that's fine. My brother's a bit like that as well. He's had experiences, and he I don't know, he tries to block it out, I guess, maybe.
Hmm.
Doubts it sometimes, but yeah, that's cool. That's people deal with things differently, but
Yeah,
yeah, man, that's interesting. So your mum could see these figures as well.
yeah, yeah. Her grandmother, she was, and my mom is Sicilian and Cherokee, and her grandmother was full blooded, and they used to call her a seer. So she could interpret dreams, and she's basically like the medicine woman of the mentality almost. And
Yeah.
she saw stuff all the time. I guess it passed to my mom and it passed to me. So
Wow.
we could see them quite often. Even when I'm out with Brooks, sometimes I'm like, "Don't you see that over there?" And he's like, "I really don't." But
Yeah.
he can feel it. He just can't see it. And you can see
Wow.
stuff in the woods that he can't see at first.
Yeah. So you was introduced to this at 6 months old. You had that
Hmm.
experience. So you've been from the start, literally.
Oh, from the start, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that event where the whatever it was walked towards you that made you cry as a 6 month, do you think that sort of set you off in the abilities that you've got in seeing these things?
I actually talked to my mom about that, and she said that she doesn't believe that was it. She says it was. I was a twin when I was born, and she didn't make it. She said she has a feeling it has something to do with my twin sister.
Oh,
She said
okay.
it's the only thing that really makes sense. Because my mom, when she was born, she had a similar experience where they thought they lost her, or they thought they lost me and my sister at one point.
Oh,
And
wow.
my mom could see him, I could see him. So she's like, maybe it's because you got really close to death. I don't know. So I just thought it's possible.
Yeah. Wow. So this is something you've been able to see these things all your life.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But like you said, you don't want to talk to people about it because they're like, okay, you're a little bit nuts. You know, when the cat is staring randomly in the corner, I'm like, oh, I see it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, man. Well, we don't think you're nuts on Let's Get Freaky because we've all had experiences here. I'm sure most people listening have had some sort of experiences.
Yeah.
Even people that say they don't believe in the paranormal, nine
Hmm.
times out of 10, they've had an experience that is pretty crazy. And you're like, how can
Hmm.
you not believe, man? But anyway, wow. So you seeing entities, would you say every day? Oh, is it something?
No, not every day. It you can almost shut it off when you get older. Like when you don't want to see them, you don't want to hear them. Yeah.
Interesting.
But
That's
when we're going
interesting.
out, oh yeah, I can kind of see them and hear them when I want to, and other times I just kind of turn it off.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've had quite a lot of experiences throughout my life, and I never thought saw myself as someone that's had a lot of experiences. But the more I talk about it and share stuff, the more I realize I've had quite a lot of experiences,
You
and I do feel like I could open myself more to it, but I sort of don't. I love talking about it. I love obviously having these conversations, but I don't know how I would feel. I mean, I've experienced stuff in this house. I have seen stuff in this house, but it's not a regular thing. Like I don't know how I would feel seeing stuff every day in this house. I don't know how I'd be, but I feel like I
yeah.
possibly could open myself more if I wanted to.
I think you get used to it. You know, we moved out of that house when I was 8.5 years old, and from about a year old to 8.5 years old, I saw them every single day. So it's like, yeah, they're part of the family. They're not going to hurt you.
Yeah,
And we grew up in a very Christian religious household. Church 3 times or 4 times a week, and Christmas plays, all that fun jazz. And my mom always said, they're not going to ever hurt you. They can't. So I always believed it, and I believe it to this day. I'm like, they're
yeah,
spirits, they're demons, or ghosts, whatever. They can't hurt me.
yeah,
So that's just how I see things.
yeah, man. So it's never worried you. You've never been in a situation where you felt that fear.
Mm-mm, not at all.
That's good, man. That's good. And I guess
I've
it's
seen
sort of sorry.
I've seen Brooks, his face go kind of white a few times out
Yeah.
there, and I'm just like, nah, that didn't bother me.
I'm already pretty white, so he's pretty
Yeah,
translucent.
yes, he was.
No, Matt doesn't have fear. He'll get startled, but he don't get scared. He if some we hear something in the woods, he's like first one into the woods almost every single time.
Wow. Wow, man. It's a good way to be. And I guess it makes a good team for you guys. I mean, if you're seeing stuff, you can report it, you know. I mean, is that why it works with you too?
I think it works just like that. It works pretty well. Also, I'm the type of person who gauges a room. So like I went out with somebody without Matt. Matt had to work the one night. I went out with somebody. We went to our normal spot. I was petrified. Petrified. There was stuff happening that me and Matt have never happened before. I'm sitting there, and of course, the person I went out with, he was like, "It's a skinwalker," and I'm like, "All right, you know what? We're getting the hell out of here. Okay, I'm done with this." But then we went back 3 days later with Matt, and he started hearing what we were hearing, and I was like, "This ain't nothing."
Yeah. So Matt brings the calm.
I
I,
do.
I would
I
I would
bring the
say
calm.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
when he said
guess
the skinwalker thing, my best friend is she's full blooded Navajo, and this so it gets me every time because I want to hit Brooks constantly. But she grew up on the Navajo reservation, and I'm sure she will watch this podcast at one point, and she's like, "Uh huh, I told you."
yeah.
But we got in the conversation. We talk almost nightly about skinwalkers, wendigos, and things like that. And she says, "I hate when these people say that skinwalkers are here and there and here and there. They're not. They're physical beings. They don't leave the reservation. They're Native Americans." So the mythos out there of, oh, I heard this in the woods as a skinwalker. No, no, it's not. She said it's not possible. She was they don't leave the reservation.
Yeah.
They are evil people. They were in. She's probably going to kill me if I get this wrong, but they were embodied with some sort of protection power for the Great Walk, and they didn't want to give it up, so they turned it evil. And there's of course the Wendigo, which they're just evil demonic spirits, but they don't do the reservation either.
Interesting.
They're a Navajo, and they're a Navajo thing. Of course, the Cherokee have their own superstitions, but it's not a skinwalker. It's just something that people like to say, "Oh, that's a skinwalker." No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. So mine is very much a calmness, and Brooks is he's the. I don't know if you know, there's a big age difference here. I'm 41 and he's 26. So it's just a big age difference for friends doing this, and he's more excited, and I'm calm. So.
Yeah. So it's a good balance.
It is a very good balance. Like, he tries to bring me more excitement over here, and I'm like, you need to calm down, buddy. You know, it works out great for us. It really does.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, often you find with like duos, especially, that there is that yin and yang. You know, you complement each other in you're different, but it works, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It really does.
Like, oh, go ahead.
No, you go, man.
Oh, I was something like what me and Matt, like, there would be some times where Matt, like what he was saying, like, he sees things that I don't see things. So he would point things out, and you kind of focus in the area, and he would kind of get the room to calm down a little bit, so that way our senses ramp up a little bit more. So it's definitely a good combination that me and him both have, where we've had our own looks and everything. But like he was saying, his friend who's the Navajo, I'll put money. There's a picture of me and a dartboard in her house somewhere, because I pushed that point. I'm like, oh, skinwalker, right?
Oh yeah, she's gonna be at the wedding. So is Brooks, and oh yeah, she's probably gonna hurt him.
Oh wow.
You all will be investigating me in about what, 5 months.
It's April, so yeah, about 3.5 months, 3 months.
3-4 months.
What happened to Brooke, man? What happened to Brooke? We'll do an episode.
I heard skin, and then it went quiet.
He's just dragged by this little short Navajo woman across the parking lot. I'll show you Skinwalker. Boom. You know,
so Skinwalkers, they're obviously terrifying, super interesting. So would they be? They are bound to certain areas. They can't leave certain areas.
Yeah, it's not something that they do. They don't just jump on a plane and say, "I'm going to go over to the Smokies today." You know, they're over New Mexico, Arizona area, and she has many stories about them, and her sister does too. But they don't like talking about them, because, you know, it's supposed to bring bad luck. But she will absolutely sit down and she'll talk about them, and she's supposed to. Damn it, Lenora! She was supposed to write her experiences down for me for podcasts like this, but. Yeah,
we'll have to try and get her on, man. We'll have to try and get her on.
I know. Yeah, we will. We certainly will.
I've talked to a lot of guests that will not even say the word skinwalker. They'll say, they'll describe it and say, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean. They won't say it. Wendigo as well. The same thing. They won't say the word. And I mean, because
it's supposed to bring something bad to you.
Yeah.
I'm certain we'll get into it, but, you know, Brooks and I took a hike one night. And the look on his face, and he kept hearing an owl, and I heard an owl too. He's like, "Did you?" Nope, you didn't hear anything. You heard nothing. And we're up in the Smoky Mountains. There's no cell phone reception there. You can't hear anybody. We're more miles away from anybody, and we are in the dead of night. And he's hearing stuff moving on his side. I'm hearing stuff on my side, and I'll go to look up. You didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
that's just how it works.
It wasn't our smartest thing, but would definitely end up doing it again.
Oh yes.
So what was it? What was you experiencing?
So I guess we could just jump right into it if everyone's ready then.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So I won't say the name of the place, because we kind of keep this one a little closer. The last time we talked about a place that we went to, everyone and their mama's parakeet went to this place, and it kind of ruined it for us for a few weeks. And I feel like that certain place too, I think some people did some seances and summoning boards and everything like that, because that place has ramped up and like tremendously. I feel like everything there is still welcoming to us. That place was Elkmont at the place at the time, so I feel like there was something that's happening there. The last time we went, it was probably one of our quieter nights, but everyone else who went was like, that was evil. It was. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I think me and Matt have kind of talked about this. We feel like everything that is there, the amount of times we go, I think they just welcome us at this point, and we're part of the group at that point.
Yeah, they almost
But
know. So like, oh, look, here comes Brooks and Matt.
Yeah. You
Great.
guys are you're accepted then.
first
Yeah.
first name basis is with multiple
Oh
people
God,
that-
yes. Yeah. So when you order
But-
our next shirts, make sure they don't have our names on them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
We're all fine until we're not, but it's fine. But back to this place. So it's an old school in the middle of the woods, and there's a trail that leads to a cabin. And the cabin is known cannibals in the area. Matt knows more about the history of that place. But like it was known cannibals in the area at the time. But we parked our trucks up at the school, and the trail is it's a 1.1 mile walk there and a 1.1 mile walk back. And this was the summer, so it was warm out at night. Sunset's a little late. I think we got there about 8 o'clock. And the sun was setting, so it was still light out. But like 10 minutes into the thing, it was pitch black. We were walking. It took us maybe a half hour, 45 minutes to get up to the cabin, and we realized the cabin was being renovated. So we're just like, there's a team in the Smokies who like to go to these old things and restore them a little bit, so that way they stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get into it and investigate it, but we were kind of taking pictures, walking around. I had the GoPro on my chest, and I said, all right, let's start heading back, and we'll go do a few hours over at the school. And we start walking back, and I'm walking. He grabs the back of my shirt, like real rough, and yanks, and he goes, "Stop, stop!" And he goes, "Listen." And I heard what I thought was a squirrel in the thing. He goes, about 100 yards straight ahead, something just went over the bank. And I was like, okay. We stood there for a second, didn't hear anything. All right, let's keep walking. We start walking, and that's when we went 0 to 100 real quick. Nothing really fully happened to us, but it was a lot of audio. You heard something walking on my left, which is down into a little bit of a hole, and then it would kind of go behind us, and then you heard it on the trail. You turn around, you hit the flashlight, and it's staying right outside the light. Like maybe I would say 10, 20 feet right outside the light, which at my mind at that time, we do have bobcats and everything in the area, and they are known to kind of stay out of lights and kind of stalk. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna chalk it up as that right now. But we keep walking, and then we hear it up on the right, which is
It's a sheer cliff.
It's a hill that's about 30 feet up in the air. And we hear it up there, and then we hear it come in front of us and back to the left. So it's basically circling us this whole 45-minute trip back. And then what he was saying a few minutes ago about an owl, it was a very bad owl noise. It was like I was like, you hear that owl? Like, is it sick or something? And he goes, that's not an owl. And I went, okay, let's keep going. It was a very bad owl imitation. But it wasn't
something mimicking the noise is what it was.
It wasn't like if me or Matt or even you were to make an owl noise. I can't recreate this. It was pretty on par to an owl, but it sounded very sickly. But also, owls don't move a mile to follow people through the woods. So I was hearing this from the moment at the cabin to the school.
Wow.
And we make it back. Like I said, it was constantly kind of circling. You kind of hear it match our footsteps on our left. It would run, stop, and we would stop. Well, not run. It would walk with us. We would stop. It stop. Every once in a while, you would hear it take an extra 2 steps. And so that's how we kind of knew that we were hearing things, because we would kind of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, and trying to hit it with the light, get eye shine. We didn't get anything. We make it back to the school, and we've been to this school, I would say at this point, 3 or 4 times already. And we've had good paranormal experience, but nothing in the woods. From that moment to our last investigation, so that's at least 20 times we've been there from now. Every single time we've hear something about 30, 40 yards into the woods, walk a circle very slowly around the woods until we're done.
Wow.
Sometimes it takes about 30 minutes for it to start. The last time me and Matt went, it was already walking before we were out of the truck.
Yeah,
Wow, man.
we didn't get all of our stuff out of the truck, and it was already right there. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
this is
I
gonna be
opened up the
fun.
door and I was like, "Is it already walking?" And he turned the radio off, and he's like, "What?" And we kind of jump up and we were looking. I thought we saw something duck behind one of the old fallen trees.
Yeah.
So here me and Matt going 30 yards into the woods, straight into the woods. There was nothing there, and this is where Lenore's gonna kill me again. But we were walking back. We were walking back, and it sounded like somebody fell in the leaves. Like somebody just full on ate it. And I was like, well, Skinwalker just ate shit in the woods.
Well, yeah, I
And
told
I
her about that
probably
too. She's gonna hurt you.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
You're in trouble at the wedding, man.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are.
I say this now for we no we get a, we are very serious in our investigations, but we also like to have some fun.
Yeah.
Our TikTok is full on memes and some clips that I've gotten from the videos that we got on our camera. But we like to have some fun and everything like that. But looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have said that because that was probably one of our most wild nights there, the most recent one.
Oh, wow.
Um, like I said, I was like, oh yeah, the Skinwalker just ate it in the woods. And it's like, okay, cool. Was it? And we all laugh and everything. And he's like, oh, Lenore's gonna kill you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And we'll grab my backpack, grab my music box, and we go set up like we normally do. And I wasn't feeling the greatest. Matt was like already like it was very unusual for Matt to feel like he was feeling too.
Yeah.
We're setting up, and it was just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm hearing the footsteps very early on. We got everything set up. I'm not feeling great. I feel like something's watching us right through the window. And we went lights out. We're doing our Estes method, which that's what we do a lot. Like 90% of the investigation is the Estes method. We feel like that's a great thing. We've tested it out multiple places where there's full proof. We've gotten something at least every place we went, even if it's just a little. But uh we went dark, we went lights out, and we heard the footsteps kind of come up to the school. And Matt, we like to do like just like points, like little points and little signs like, hey, focus over here. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? And I had my flashlight clipped behind me. I went to sit up to stand, and you heard it kind of take off into the woods. So it came right up to the window and looked in on the window, whatever it was. Then we put some motion lights out there. The motion lights went off once or twice, but we never saw anything. But that place has something involved there, and we are still trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah. I mean, at first, when you were saying about it circling you and mimicking an owl, that sounds like Sasquatch. That sounds like Bigfoot behavior that
Oh,
you hear.
I kind of wanted to hear what you wanted to say about that before I said the next thing, because we went on AFK discussions a few months ago, and we were talking about this very thing where we were doing the Estes method. We have a friend who's very sensitive in this sort, and she'll hear things that no one else does on the headset. And like I said, we test these things out. I'll go out a few hundred yards away and yell like, "Hey, I have a few fingers behind my back. How many am I? Four. Oh, well, it's four. Okay, cool. We test out what color balloon am I holding up? Yellow. And the person that's in the headset can't hear or see me, so it's one of those things. Okay, cool. We're getting something. We have something. This is 100%. No one's hearing me.
Yeah.
And we like to wander when we're doing this too and see what reactions we get for wandering. And we started going to a little trail, not the trail to the cabin, but there's another trail, and I don't know where it really leads to.
It
But
leads down to the parkway there.
oh,
You
okay.
know, when we first come in, yeah.
Oh, okay. But we were heading down there, and don't go in there. Don't go there. Don't go there. And I would scream at her and scream at the top of their lungs in her, where she has to rip the headset off because it's so loud. And I was like, oh, why don't you want us to go over there? The booger's over there. What's the booger? And the booger monster. I said, what type of monster is it? And I was like, is it Mothman? Is it Wendigo? Is it vampire? I mean, is it a monster? Is it? And no, I said, is it Bigfoot? And all they said was giggling. It was giggling. And I said, is there a Bigfoot? And they're like, no, booger. And I went, okay, well, hold on.
Yeah, neither of us actually had heard this booger thing
Yeah, I know
before.
when we went on
Yeah.
AFK discussions, I was actually listening to a few episodes before I went on, just to kind of gauge to see what's the vibe of the podcast first.
Yeah.
And
Great show. I
he,
love AFK.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoy Jason and Ty a lot, and Phil
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
but
Phil, yeah.
but they had an episode where a guy was talking about a Bigfoot, and he would call it the woolly booger. And I was like, I've never heard that. I don't think Matt said he heard that before. And my wife, who grew up in this area, said she's heard Bigfoot referred as a booger, but it's not like the first. You think Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot first.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was interesting to
Yeah.
hear. And then actually that night I like to look at pictures when it's slow at work. I'm a roller coaster mechanic, so I only have to do something when really the ride goes down during hours. So I had my laptop and I'm just looking for pictures, and there's this one picture and there's a whole bunch of dots in the stream. This is the same night. Matt said he heard something in the woods and he took a picture of it, and I sent you the picture actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, "Do you see that?" And he kind of outlined what he saw, and it was like a 6 foot translucent figure, 6, 7 foot. Because I would say that bridge was like 4 feet off the ground,
Yeah, it is.
and it was almost eye level with us.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it
I
was
actually
kinda
initially
cool.
sent it to him without an outline, and he showed it to somebody else that he works with,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
they saw it right up front. I didn't have
Yeah.
to outline anything, which
Yeah.
is
yeah.
kind of
I
weird
tried
to
to.
look at.
Yeah, I sent the
Yeah.
pictures before, and I see what, because I sent it to Jason. Jason said he didn't see anything. Phil said that he was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then I sent him the outline, and he's like, "That's exactly what
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
seen." And I sent it to Doc,
Wow.
and Doc was like, "Oh yeah." So
Yeah,
it was
man.
kind of cool. So, and he was like, "Oh, Bigfoots are known to go translucent depending on what type of Bigfoot you believe in, like paranormal
Yeah.
wise, creature wise, or interdimensional wise."
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
man. Wow.
so that
Well,
was kind of cool.
you very kindly sent me that picture, and yeah, you can see the outline for sure. Did you
Yep.
could you smell anything? Was there any like smells or
I did. My grandparents are actually from this county, and then they moved to Missouri back in the '60s. And he used to tell me stories about this area all the time. So I was like, yeah, all right, yeah. And he had 140 acres down in Missouri, and we'd go hiking. He's a 70-year-old man with a 12-year-old kid, and we're just hiking away. And he'd stop and he'd teach me about what you look at in a tree and what you can eat and what you can't. And then he'd just out of nowhere, he'd stop, he'd grab my arm, pull me back, and say, "Smell the air." What? Smell the air. He goes, "There's a bear close by. We got to turn around and go the other way." And
wow.
growing up, that's just how I did it. Well, now I pay attention to a lot of smells when I'm around. And I've lived in Montana in the mountains. A grizzly bear smells like a trash can. That's just how it works. It is the most disgusting smell you ever smell.
Yeah.
But out there, it's like, and then you heard it next to you. So let's start clicking pictures.
Yeah.
We've been playing with a lot of lighting and photography. We've got camera setups like crazy. He does a lot of the videography. I do the photography, and just trying to get everything right is it's a pain sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so there'll be like 3 blurry ones or some bad lighting, and then you get 10 great ones, and then it's back to a few blurry ones trying to catch the speed at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool too, because sometimes when we're doing this, he'll say he'll take 10 pictures rapid, and 9 out of the 10 are clear as day, but there's that one in the middle that it's blurry, and the one after usually like you see something
Yeah.
almost every time, like a light in the woods or something's not fully focused, and you turn your head. Which me and him will always sit down and be like, okay, what do we think this is? Because we're not going to say it's cryptid. We're not going to say it's paranormal. We're going to say this is a human error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what caused that to happen?
Yeah, man.
And can we recreate it?
Yeah, we'll try to recreate it a lot of the times.
Yeah.
half the time we can't, but there are a
When
few times where we're like, oh, okay, because we went to Elkmont and we got a picture where we saw two reflectors in the woods, and it looked like there was eye shine coming back at us. And we went back a few days later and we were in the woods and we realized it was the parking lot. There was two reflectors and it just looked just like eye shine staring at us.
okay. So sometimes you can debunk these things,
Yes.
but sometimes you can't, man. And that night where you captured the shape of the creature and you was experiencing all the other stuff as well. So it just goes together, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, that place is it's a different. I don't want to say evil. I don't feel fully in danger there. There are times where I feel like it just hatred, like just leave me alone today. I'm woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Leave me alone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I kind of got off a little off track with that and jumped ahead. But the night of the hike that we did, uh, there was a crying in the attic, and I heard this twice before. The one time when I was telling my buddy, kind of scared the crap out of me. I said, "Hey, let's get out of here." Whatever. We heard it that night, and that's kind of what set me over. It was a crying in the attic of the school, and then
Man.
we went back, and me and Matt heard it, and we're sitting there, and we walked outside, and you didn't hear it at all. Not a peep. You walk into the class, and it's crying, and
Man.
we asked
I-
in the Estes, who's crying? And I think the name we got was Billy at the time. This was half
It
a year
was.
ago.
Yeah, I
I
believe
want to say
it
it
was
was
Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
And the story we got from Billy was he fell out of the tree outside by the cemetery when he was playing at recess. I don't know if he died, but that was just the story we got.
Yeah.
But once we asked about the crying, and if he was okay and what, we've never heard the crying ever since. We heard it twice in a row, but then we kind of confronted it and asked, and we never heard it since.
Wow, man. Did that sound like a young boy crying? Was it just
Oh, it
that?
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely was a
Oh,
young boy
man.
crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That or like a whine.
Yeah.
At first we thought it was distant talking, like very loud, distant talking, but
Wow,
we
man.
more pointed towards crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, once he said I wasn't there the first time, and since I was there the second time, and I keep everything kind of calm, it was a lot clearer because he kept explaining it to me, and I didn't hear it originally, and then
Yeah.
that time I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I think I threw you up in the attic after that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
went up in the
Yeah.
attic and I saw the biggest wolf spider I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that's scary
That-
enough, man.
Oh, see those things I don't care about. You'll ask Matt, I'm the first one to pick something up and be like, hey, look at this thing.
Hey, I use a glass. I'm a glass man. So my
Not when you're
wife,
out in the middle of the woods.
yeah, you can't in the middle of the woods. No, that's for sure. But my wife will shout, and because she hates spiders, and we don't get very big spiders, but I'll still get the glass, and I'm putting the glass on it, man. I can't. Fair play if you can pick it up with your hands.
If I can find the picture, I'll send it to you. But this thing would have thrown the glass back at you.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
it
I'm
would've.
gone. I'm
I think
gone.
I think it was holding a camera back at our face.
Yeah.
This thing had a social security number and a name.
Oh man, yeah. That's for me. That's a no. The skinwalkers and ghosts. Yeah, no.
Yeah, bring
and
it.
spiders. Yeah. Wow, man. So that night you heard the crying, did you say that was the same night that you felt the possible Bigfoot entity around you? Was that the same night?
No.
Okay.
That I would say those are 5 or 6 trips in between.
Ah, okay. Was it the same location though, or
Yes.
close by?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
same location.
Wow, man.
We do have some regular spirits, entities, whatever you'd like to call them. We've had some regulars there that kind of are nicer to us. And the one night we did an Estes method, and we asked, "Is anyone who's buried in the graveyard here?" And they went, "Yes." I said, "Oh, can you direct me to your burial site? And I would like to clean off your stone for you," or something like that. And I went out and left, right, left, stop, and the name was Irene something, and there was a stone that said Irene. I forget the last name,
Someone with an
but
S.
yeah. And I was like, "Oh, is this the
Stenen.
stone with
Stenitz. That's what it was.
Stenitz?" Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, would you mind if I clean off your stone?" And she goes, "Yes, please." And I kind of got all the moss up, and I kind of tossed it off into the woods and everything like that. And ever since,
Wow.
she'll say hi at least once at the night when we go, and usually I don't get too much out of her, but she'll like say hi or I'm over here. And then we also had a Steven who had no headstone, but
Mhm.
he had a plot that you could see a plot, but there was no headstone.
Wow, man. Wow. So this whole area that you're in, it's just full of high strangeness.
Oh yeah.
It is, and we like going back because the more we go, the more questions we have.
Yeah. Which is normally with the paranormal. That's the problem. Yeah, there's
Yes.
always more questions.
Oh
What,
yeah.
what you were saying about the possible Sasquatch booger. I mean, if these creatures can camouflage themselves, it would explain a lot. It would explain a lot of why we can't find them. I mean, can they all do it? I don't know. Is it just certain? Because I think there's different types, possibly. I think you probably do get more flesh and blood ones, and then you get the supernatural, which we can't explain yet. So, what's your thoughts on the Sasquatch?
I
I think
don't.
they can be shapeshifters, honestly, because if you look back in the history of the Cherokee legends, and Cherokee, North Carolina is not an hour from us, so you can go there and actually talk to the people. My grandfather, growing up, he said that he believes that they're shapeshifters, and they could do a lot of things that we would never know. And he didn't call it a booger; he called it Momo, and
Okay.
which actually stood for Missouri Monster. That's what Momo actually stood for.
Yeah.
And he had an experience with one that came up to his farm, and it got fur caught on the fence. And he went to go grab a rifle to shoot at it, and it just disappeared on him.
Wow.
And this is a man. I don't think he could lie if you forced him to. So that's why I'd have to believe him there.
Yeah.
And
Wow, man. He saw the
yeah,
creature disappear.
he saw it. He said, I reached back to grab my rifle off the wall, turned, and it's gone. He goes, what? It wasn't a split second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he believes that growing up, that they could absolutely just disappear. And
Yeah.
there's so many things happening in the Great Smoky Mountains that we will never know. Appalachia is one of the weirdest places in the entire country.
Yeah, man. You've got a lot of legends and lore there. I mean, Dogman. Have you had any experiences with possible Dogman?
We
That I
don't.
know, not aware of.
Not that we're aware of.
Not
No.
yet. Not yet.
I wouldn't even chalk it down that we've had a Bigfoot experience because we are still trying to. There's an explanation for it. I'm not.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the ones that were like, oh yeah, we saw Bigfoot. We win.
Yeah.
Right.
Game over.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had things that we can't explain happen to us, but I don't want to say it was a Bigfoot. I really don't. I would love to see one. I know everyone says that until they do and
Yeah, that's what I
whatnot.
always
I
say.
think yeah. Um, it was just one of those things like we've had pebbles thrown at us at a different location closer to the area that hit the roof and rolled down. We've heard a whoop in the woods, which we could be an elk. The elk mating season was around that time, so it was reasonable.
Yeah.
We had
But
something run over the top of the cabin we were in.
yes, that I feel was
Oh, wow.
paranormal though.
Yeah, that one's definitely got to be paranormal. There's no explanation we can find for that.
No,
And there weren't just me and him in this room.
no.
There were a few of us, and everybody was kind of weirded out.
What
Which
happened there, man?
well, so I love this story because I make fun of my friend Josh for this one because it's probably his highest moment of comedy I've ever. We were at Elkmont and we were in our favorite cabin that we love to go to. We get a lot of um uh activity there.
Activity, yeah.
Yes, that's the word. I can't talk today either. If you watched Phil's video of Elkmont,
Yeah.
this was the cabin where I got hit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Actually, in that room was the room where it happened. But we were in that room and we're doing our Estes method. We're trying to get them to open and close the door. And my camera died. Our battery drains like that there every single time. It drains so quick. Camera died, and I'm replacing the thing. We heard it growl outside of the window. And I was like, was that a growl? And we went out the door and we're looking around. We don't see anything. We're looking around the front, looking around up on the roof. Okay. Um, we went back in. I'm finishing putting the battery in. I put the battery in, and you hear something full on sprint towards the cabin, which is not a big run up in the backyard of that cabin. It's like 10
There,
feet and then a drop.
yes.
And you hear the gravel kick up. You hear it climb up the side of the house, over the roof, over the whole top of the roof, and down into the front of the cabin, and then take off down the road. But during this, my buddy Josh takes his gun and points it at the door. I said, "Did you just try to shoot a ghost?"
Wow. So what could that have been? What's the possibilities there?
We still haven't figured it out exactly. We wish we knew the answer, but you could hear it. Even if there was a non-believer anywhere around us,
Yeah.
there was no dispelling that it went up the side of the house. It went over a tin roof and landed in gravel in front of this cabin, and you could hear it taking off.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we were outside in 2 seconds too. I think we were outside before it hit the ground
We did. Yeah.
in the front. We were out that door.
And you didn't see it. You couldn't see what it was.
No. The one thing that I like to tell people too with this, if they like to point things, because like I said, not the first one to say it's paranormal, but leading up to this day, we went to an old cemetery at Elkmont, and when we pulled up, there was a guy doing whatever he was doing. I'll let everyone come up with their own vision of what he was doing.
Yes, yes.
He was petting one of the biggest coyotes I've ever seen. He was in his car out the window, and he was petting a coyote. And we pulled up, and his eyes are wide as wide can be, and the coyote runs off, and he kind of backs up into like a little pathway into the woods, which not very far. And we're kind of just staring at him. At first, we thought he was there to ditch his dog because he had a dog in the back car, and that's pretty common. But people will go into the woods and let their dogs just go.
Oh man.
And it's sad. Yeah, I was really against it. So we watched basically the whole time, but
yeah. And so he was in the area, so that was a possibility. But if he was that athletic in our minds, then
more power to him.
Yeah, if he can do that, man.
You just jumped 10 feet in the air, ran across, and jumped 10 feet down and took off. No.
Yeah. Oh, no. And you said your cameras was drained as well. That's something that you hear a lot with this sort of stuff.
And that's kind of where a lot of people don't believe the story, because our camera just died. I understand
it happens so much,
all
though,
these. I understand these TV shows now. Like, oh, the camera just died. I just missed it. I'm like, no, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
What do we have? We have 4 or 5 batteries for the one camera, and then we just bought a second camera, another video camera. Yes. It doesn't matter. We can be there an hour, or we can be there 10 hours. They just drain like this.
Yeah.
We've got battery packs and stuff too.
Yeah. Which I just got a new camera because our first camera, because we're brand new. We've only been doing this for a little over a year, and my first camera didn't have a great microphone, so we would hear things, knocks and everything, and the camera wouldn't pick it up. So I got a camera that actually has a microphone now, and it's been picking up things. I went to that school in Pennsylvania and I tested it out there, and you can hear things. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is exactly what I need. I think we can get the footsteps. I think we can get the growls. I think we can get the knocks. I think we're good now.
Yeah.
Until we fully test it. I've been busy. Matt's been busy. We haven't been out in a few weeks, but
you're getting out there.
Oh yeah.
You guys are doing a great job. How did you guys link up? How did you meet? I don't know if we mentioned that.
We both worked at the same theme park during COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You both had the same interest in the paranormal, and that was it.
We didn't even start that way. We were talking about roller coasters originally, and he was told that I was, a prick.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, I'm not.
We hated each other for the first day.
Really?
Yeah. Me and Matt.
Did you listen to someone else?
Yeah. So basically, what happened was it was the height of COVID. My ride was the first ride to get COVID, and my wife now she kind of came in and trained this whole new crew with another person, and that's Matt came on board during that hiring process when I was out with COVID prevention. I didn't have COVID at the time. I got it a few more times with the company, but it was just kind of precaution. They sent us all home with pay. But Matt came in and they were all saying, my wife didn't say it, but like the trainer and everyone else was like, "Oh, you're gonna hate this guy. This guy is an asshole. He's this, and this, and this. He thinks he knows everything." So,
How
me
wrong they
coming back
were.
at the time, yeah, at the time I come back and I have my chest out and I'm like, this guy doesn't know shit.
Hmm.
And then I think it took us 2 shifts and we were best friends.
Oh yeah, we're great. It was awesome. We have been ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're on this cool adventure together. I
Oh
think we
yeah,
meet each other for a reason, man. I think
we
I
do.
definitely believe that. So it's meant to be.
I mean, he's even given me a cat.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow. Oh,
I
that's
had too
cool,
many.
man. Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys live pretty close. You get out as regular as you can. Um, it's going to be interesting what you guys find going forward.
Oh yeah. And like I said, we normally go into the Great Smoky Mountains. We've contacted the park. We've gotten some special permissions to be overnight in Kate's Cove, which is a big motor trail and it has a whole bunch of stuff in it. It's really cool place, but they usually don't allow anyone there at night. So any videos you see is usually during the day. And we asked, I was like, hey, this, and this. Here's some of our videos show that we're respectful when we're out. Is there any chance? And they're like, you know what? Well, we can allow you to do this. So we went out the one night, and that night was cool. We've had things in the church. We've had spirits warn us about a car coming up. There was a tow
Hmm.
truck that was coming to rescue a turned over Jeep in one of the trails back there. And it was like, somebody's coming. They're coming. Go outside. They're coming. I'm like, who's coming? And then we go outside and we see a tow truck backing up this whole gravel road. We're like,
Oh,
hey.
man.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they're like, what are you doing? And we're like, we're hunting ghosts. What are you doing? They're like, we're looking for an upside down Jeep.
I
And
initially thought they were coming from my truck because I'm
Yeah.
the only truck out there in the middle of thousands of acres. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, that was
That's
the
it.
fastest we've ever picked up.
We were out the door. Yeah.
wow, and was that coming through a spirit box?
The Estes, yes.
Wow.
Yep.
But they were like, oh, there's truck coming, and his partner was in the truck not feeling good. So we thought, oh, they're talking about him. Okay, cool. And we went out there and we're like, yeah, no, he's still out there. He's not. And then we saw the truck.
Wow, man, that's cool. So have you guys, since you've been out investigating, have you seen anything else? Have you seen other spirits or any cryptids or anything like that yet? Have you seen anything yet?
Um,
I'd always say there's a possibility we will see things, but I mean, we've seen plenty of spirits and we've heard plenty of spirits, but um, as the game of cryptids go, we can't just say, oh, yep, we see Dogman, we see Mothman.
yeah.
There's no proof yet. we
Yeah.
we want it, but there's no proof.
Yeah,
Yeah, spirits are definitely our number one. We've been to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. We've gotten a lot there. We've been to the Scott County Jail. We got a little bit there. We've been to places where paranormal people are not usually allowed, and we've got some things.
that's cool, man. That's cool. So I know none of us know, and we're all speculating, we're all trying to work out what this stuff is. But what are your guys' opinions on the paranormal at the moment? What do you think is going on? Do you think it's another realm? Do you think it's spirits in the afterlife? What are your overall thoughts at the moment?
Well, I'll tell you a theory I came up with, and I posed this to Brooks not too long ago. It was, how everything has memory. Same pair of jeans has memory. Cells have memory. What if we're in a building that has memory, and it's showing us what has happened before, and that's why we're seeing it? We see the same little kid running through a hallway, or we see an evil grandmother with red eyes. It's just
Yeah,
that could be memory. Now, are there demons and stuff? Oh, sure, I'm sure there are, but I pose the question of, could it be a memory that we're seeing over and over again
yeah. Like
that
like
just
an
somehow is able to interact with us,
yeah,
at times? But I guess nobody truly has an answer for that.
yeah, man. It's like it could be like a trapped energy or something like that.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, and just playing on a loop.
yeah. Brooks, what's your thoughts, man?
I want to say like because I do like Matt's thought of it or what he thinks it is. But like when we went to Brushy Mountain, I like to say it's leftover energy.
hmm
Like there's just almost like okay, stars are there and they die out. It's just like okay, that's they've been alive for so long. They're still energy is still being used and wasted until that energy is no longer.
Yeah,
Um, because when we went to Brushy Mountain, that's only been closed for a little over 10 years. I would say almost 15 now. Um,
Yeah, something like that.
it was 2009 they closed, but like there was so much going on there. Matt saw the first time we went, he saw a full person walking in the back where we couldn't get to, and then there was things when we went upstairs. They're very hostile towards us. Where I was physically attacked, Matt was physically attacked.
oh wow,
Um, yeah, we didn't feel it at the time, but we woke up like we were in a barroom brawl for for a few
wow.
hours.
Yeah, that one was fun. The last time we went, because we actually went on our anniversary date and did it again. It was his birthday.
Yeah,
One of our friends she's very, very sensitive. Um, I was in one cell over, and Brooks was just down from me a little bit. I was one cell from our friend Kirsten, and I could feel something was not right. And I'm like, it's time to pull her from this. Before we ever got to her, she can't hear us. She's wearing noise reduction headphones, and she's hearing stuff through it. Before we even got to her, she screamed real loud and took the headphones and threw them, and she just kind of was shaking. She said somebody was on her back when we were walking to her.
but
Oh
you saw
wow.
her flannel kind of compress around her,
Mm-hmm.
like somebody like, no, you can't go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, she didn't know we were coming. She's actually facing away from us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I
she
was like,
likes
that's
to
really weird.
yeah she likes to close her eyes, kind of just stand in a corner, or like if they're like the jail there, she was sitting on the bed. Um, and she really just focuses right on the headset and tunes anything that she could hear outside the headset out.
Yeah. Wow, man. And you guys
Uh,
actually felt physical.
Oh yeah, yeah. We both felt like
yeah.
we were beat up. It was
Jeez.
bad for a couple of
It
days.
was
It
probably
hurt.
my fault. It was probably my fault, but
You were picking on
I
He
was.
was asking for it.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Oh
challenged.
yeah.
There was so it was a prison, and they weren't. We were getting something, but we weren't getting a whole lot until I was like, you know what? These are prisoners. Let's be a little bit aggressive with them and see if we get a thing. And I don't usually like getting aggressive. I don't like
We don't do that.
pushing these things. But I was like, let me act like a prison warden or something like that, or a guard. And we started getting things. We've gotten prison inmate numbers. We've gotten names. We've gotten a whole bunch of stuff. Which we've contacted Brushy Mountain about it, and they said they don't have any information about that stuff or logs. I guess that went all to the city, and the city hasn't gotten back to us, which we're not their top priority, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Should be.
I know.
Right?
I just want to know this one inmate that we've gotten, because he kind of just walked. You heard him walk up and down the stairs, and we had like a dots light on, and you can kind of see the dots somewhat move with the light. And he was just kind of keeping an eye on us. And he
Wow.
wouldn't give us a name, but he gave us his number, which I have it in my phone
1278,
here.
I think.
Yeah, it was 178 or 1278. I want to say,
Yeah,
Interesting, man.
1278, I believe.
And did
but
you
go ahead.
did you guys like actually have like physical bruises on you and stuff like that after the night?
I had
He's
red
had
marks.
scratches on him and red
Yes,
marks. Yeah. Me, I
red
just
marks
felt
and
like somebody
scratches.
like had pinched my shoulder or something and held down. But
Yeah.
again, I'm very, very calm, so I don't react to it. But yeah, the next day it
Wow,
was
man.
sore. I was sore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was 1278 too.
Interesting,
And
man.
but we went up into an area where apparently there was a big part of the riot. A lot of people got their throats slit, wrist slit during the riots, and I guess somebody was actually possessed in that room. If that's true or not, I can't confirm. It was just something that we've heard.
Yeah.
But we went in there and we did our Estes method and was like, okay, who's here? Robert. "Mhm. Hi, Robert. How are you?" He goes, leave, get out. And he's cursing at us and everything. I said, well, is there anyone else here? Yes. Who? And then quickly it said Phil, but then no, Robert. And I said, well, Robert, I'm not talking to you. And they said, well, we're all Robert here. And I went, okay, well, I'm dealing with a cult now.
Mhm.
You don't want that, man.
They kept trying to get
And-
Kirsten to go into the other room there,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't allow that to happen.
No, they're telling her to go into the other room. They wouldn't allow me to go in there. I said, hey, can you give me a knock and I'll leave. And I went, because anytime I go, oh, can you give me a knock? And I'll repeat it and see if they do it. And as soon as I went to knock, they were like, don't do it. Well, I was already mad at the time, and I went boom, boom. And they were mocking me, going, oh, he's brave, and oh, look at this guy. And we gave Kirsten a break. Matt put the headset on for a little bit. We got a little bit more. And I was like, oh, give me a try. I put the headset on, and I had it on for what, 60 seconds, Matt?
It was about that, yeah.
Yeah. 60 seconds of nothing but Brooks is a bitch. It was
over and over again.
Yeah. Brooks is a bitch, Brooks is a bitch, Brooks is a bitch, Brooks is a bitch, Brooks is a bitch. And I'm just like, and we're not wearing our hoodies that have our names on them. We're not, and so it was kind of cool that they knew our names in a way.
Man.
But it was just like, okay, I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't want to talk to me. And then I gave it back to Kirsten. They're like, haha, get out.
You guys are braver than me, that's for sure. No, I'd be gone. I'd be as much as I love this stuff. I still that's I'm gone.
It was interesting. I actually invited Jason out for that trip. We had an extra spot open that time, but he couldn't make it. He was going on a cruise at the time.
Okay.
But he was like, "Man, I'm kicking myself for not going." I said, "Well, life. We'll go back."
Yeah.
Probably back in September.
Yeah, we want to go back at least one more time this year. We wanted to do a big trip. It's like 12 people, but we couldn't get the 12 to come with us.
Well, I'll come, man. I'm up for it. I'm up for it. It seems like it's such a cool area. You've got a lot of cool guys around there as well that are into this stuff, and yeah, I'd love to come out there sometime, man.
Oh yeah,
you're always invited.
Yeah.
And I ended the last podcast we were on like this, but so with Matt's wedding coming up, I said he wanted to do a wedding party, and I said, well, we can do a ghost hunt after. I said, but he wants to do at night a hide and seek in the woods, so like at the Elkmont ghost town there, like keep it a barrier in between the cabins, obviously, maybe like 10 feet into the woods, and that's it. But keep it, and then do an at night hide and go seek, and
man,
and see what people catch while they're alone too.
The best, scariest wedding ever.
Hey, if I have to go to this wedding, then I might as well have some fun.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Well,
so if you wanted to come over,
man, I would love to. I am there. If I come, I'm probably not going to leave. That's the thing. I'm probably going to have to stay.
Hey, the mountains are nice.
I'm there, man. Guys, I've absolutely loved talking to you tonight. Super interesting stuff. I definitely hope this is the first of many conversations. You guys are welcome back on any time. If anything else happens, let me know, because it is super interesting. Oh, yeah. If you could tell the listeners where they can find you.
Well, you can find us on all social media platforms. We have Facebook, YouTube, which on our YouTube, we upload nothing but full, raw, unedited footage. So that way the viewers can see how we set up, and there is no tricks or anything behind the camera. I like it that way. Some people don't. But we also have Instagram, which I need to get a little bit better at. I'm not really great at Instagram. We have Twitter or X, and TikTok is for more of our jokes and memes and trying to get a laugh out of people. We have some clips on there too.
Awesome, man. Well, I will share all the links in the show description so people can find you easily. Guys, thank you so much. Good luck with the wedding. I want to come out there. I'm definitely going to come and see you guys at some point, because that would be amazing. And yeah, just keep up the great work, guys, and thank you.
Thanks
a lot, Tommy, for having us on.